geologists on Moore Reef today, and I'm going to be doing a commentary for this tour for you. As we go along, if you see anything really exciting like a shark or a turtle, please shout out, so hopefully we can point it out for everybody.
Oh, what's that?
And if you have any questions about anything that you can see as we're going, please let me know and I'll do my best to answer it for you.
I think it's the net.
So firstly, I'm just going to give you some safety information about this vessel. So on the semi-sub, we have our life. It's located upstairs. In the event of an emergency, we'll go upstairs, put them on, and follow directions from our skipper Gary. To get upstairs, you can use the stairs that we boarded through, or we have emergency exits at the front and the back of the vessel. If you do start to feel unwell today, we have seasickness bags above your heads to the right. Please use them, please let me know and I can help you get upstairs with some fresh air. It will help. Okay, so on any reef, we have a variety of Nemo's out on the left there. So if you look out to the left, you might be able to see an anemone with some little anemone fish in it. They're the orange and white stripy ones. They're not too far away, you should be able to see them. So on any reef, we have a variety of different habitats that make up that whole reef, and each of those will have their own coral and fish line that is distinct. So at the moment we're on the back slope of the reef. What that means is that it's the back of the reef, so it's not in the prevailing wind, so it's much more sheltered area than say the front of the reef or the reef wall. And what that means is that we get a lot of branching corals and a lot of soft corals here. Of the 600 species of corals on the Great Barrier Reef, around 2/3 of them are soft corals. 2/3 of them are hard corals and 1/3 are soft corals. So those are the two main types of coral that we have. And the main difference between a hard coral and a soft coral is that hard corals are hard and soft corals are soft. So soft corals don't have the same calcium carbonate or limestone skeleton that the hard corals have. A soft coral's body is made up mostly of water, which is what we call a hydrostatic skeleton. So if you can see out to your right that some of the corals look like they're waving around a little bit in the water, they're moving a bit. Those ones are the soft corals because they don't have that skeleton to hold them up, so they will move with the water. If you can see the soft coral, it's kind of yellow and long and thin. We call that one spaghetti coral because as marine biologists we're not very creative when we make it.
Yes. Look at it.
Now the hard corals, the ones that you can see a lot of at the moment are those branching corals with the beautiful branches. And those are hard corals, and those branches are made up of that hard calcium carbonate skeleton that the corals grow. You might also be able to see a few patches where those branching corals have broken off. And that's because branching corals actually are the fastest growing corals, so they grow up to 30 centimeters in length. But they're also very brittle, so they're the first ones to break when we have strong currents or a storm. Those branching corals are the most delicate and they'll break first. What that means is that they're able to colonize an area really quickly, but they also might be damaged very easily. And the reason that we have a lot of them out here on the back slope is because, as I mentioned, it's very sheltered, so they do well here.
You want to come back here, baby?
Because they're not exposed to those strong conditions that can damage them.
Take some of those as well.
Now, if you can see out on the left, we have a big, round, yellow coral that looks a bit like a big boulder. That one is a massive or a boulder coral. Again, with the quite simple naming system. And massive and boulder corals like that are actually the slowest growing corals. They're hard corals, so that whole thing is that nice hard skeleton. And those ones only grow up to between 1 to 3 centimeters a year. So they're really slow compared to the branching corals that we were talking about. What that means is that when you see a big boulder coral like that, that's more than 1 meter in length.
Oh wow.
and it's only growing a centimetre a year.
Looks like a flower.
It's definitely been there for a long time, like upwards of 100 years.
Keep it on, Bruce.
So do you kind of see like these spiral things?
So what we're coming over right now is our Mars stars. So if you can see all of those star little frames, the metal frames down there, those are Mars Reef stars. So that's the Mars is in the chocolate bar company. It's Mars Assisted Reef Restoration System, so we just call them reef stars. So those reef stars are in an area that had a lot of coral rubble from those broken branching corals. And how that Mars Assisted Reef Restoration System works is that we take fragments of coral that have already broken off from their colonies that are on the ground, and they go in these frames over an area of coral rubble. And so that over time, as they grow, that will stabilise that rubble patch and allow it to develop back into healthy reef. So the reason that we need to assist a rubble area like that to grow is because corals actually have 4 requirements for growth. Those are water, low nutrient water, sunlight, stable salinity, so they lack it out here where there's not a lot of fresh water coming in because we're quite far off the coast, and a nice hard surface. So corals need a nice hard substrate to live. Reef does really well, areas of dead coral or rocks are really good. But when we have a lot of this rubble that's been created by branching corals breaking off in a storm event, it takes a really long time for that area to recolonize and recover, and that's because that rubble will move every time the currents come through. And so that area can take upwards of 10 years to recover. So this reef restoration that stabilises that rubble, that just speeds up the process. So you might have seen that some of the corals on those stars are growing really well. We have seen really good results so far. And that rubble patch is actually from Cyclone Yazi in 2011 that took out a lot of the coral cover around here. So right now we're just heading away from the back slope of the reef out into the channel or the deeper area between bits of reef, and we're heading over to some bombing.
Daddy, the deep area is so deep. I can't see anymore. I can't see the reef anymore.
Now bombing is a word that we use to describe almost like a mini patch reef. So it's a little bit of reef that's grown up all on its own. You'll see when we get to them that they are quite tall, almost a vertical drop down, and the word bombing actually comes from Aboriginal word bombora, which means stand alone.
Yeah, that must be. And also we're moving so fast, that's how they're running away from us.
Does anyone have any questions about the reef?
Is this building the same as I would say
They use their tails. I guess they have a lot of oxygen in them.
Yeah, I wrote that down. So if you look out to the left, you'll see
Probably why they
one of our beautiful bobbies here. If you have a look all the way down, you'll notice how far down that drop is, and this is just a little tower of coral out on its own. So you might notice when you have a look at the coral life here that it's a little bit different to what we were seeing out on the back slope. We've still got our soft corals, but we don't have as many branching corals because we're a little bit more exposed here, stronger currents. Those branching corals, they'll either grow much more compact, or we see a lot more of our plate corals, which are kind of a lot flatter and do better in those high currents.
Okay, record a video, please.
You might see that on a lot of these corals there are some sort of black, fluffy looking things. They look a little bit feathery. Those are feather stars, so they're in the same family as starfish. And they like to hang out on those corals. If you can see all of these tiny little blue fish that are hanging around, these are called blue-green chromis, and they're a type of damselfish. If you manage to get a good look at them, you might see that they're probably just opening and closing their mouths all the time. And that's because they actually eat plankton. So plankton is all of the tiny microscopic animals and algae that are living in the water. There's a whole hidden world. It's actually the base of the food chain on the reef, and that's what those damselfish are after. If you look down there, you'll see a huge, massive boulder coral like I was talking about. So the one that we saw before was only maybe like a metre or two, but this one is massive. Again, remembering that those ones are only growing a couple of centimetres a year, so this one's been here for a long, long, long time.
It's like a fat type of fish.
It's too cloudy.
Yes, they are. They're bloody deadly. No, in breeding season they fight. They do. They're not deadly, I'm just exaggerating. They're deadly to me.
I'm learning everything softly, I think you're saying.
Did I change
That's
the
a really good
format?
question. What kind of gold is about the coral? So it's actually a little bit plant and a little bit animal. So the coral itself is an animal. If you think of a coral, it's in the same family as jellyfish. So a coral is kind of like an upside down jellyfish. It will be sitting in its skeleton, in a little cup in the skeleton, and it will have its tentacles out in the water to catch plankton. But what they actually get most of their energy from is an algae that lives in their tissues. So that algae is called zooxanthellae. And that algae is photosynthetic, just like plants, it's getting its energy from the sun. And the corals get up to 95% of their energy from the algae.
Sharp down onto your right.
Yeah, so that's right. When we have coral bleaching, that's because the coral is stressed and it expels the algae.
Shark onto your right.
To the right, there's a shark.
There's a black tip.
Oh yeah, there's a black tip reef shark right down the bottom there.
Oh,
If you're at the back of the boat, you can probably see it.
Oh, that's good.
So we do get 134 different species of sharks and rays on the Great Barrier Reef, but out here the most common ones are white-tip reef sharks, black-tip reef sharks, and grey whalers. Yeah, so back on that bleaching, that's when the corals expel the algae out, so then they don't have any way to get their energy because they've lost their food source, so they can die. They won't necessarily, they can recover and get that algae back and be perfectly fine. It depends on the severity of the bleaching event. So out on the side of this body there's a few big plate corals. So I did mention that those big plate corals actually do quite well on a body like this where it's more exposed because they are better designed for that stronger water.
There's the tree fish again.
not very nutritious, but maybe poisons and hard. Like calcium is the hard ones are calcium.
It's not a jellyfish.
Where?
Yeah.
I think so.
What? You see me jellyfish?
I don't see anything.
Oh, those sneaky jellyfish. I'm saying hammerflies.
What's the shark? No, if you want to be an alpha.
Now another thing that happens, or another result of that algae that lives in the coral tissue is that it actually gives the coral most of its colour. So you might have noticed that a lot of the corals are more brown kind of colours, brown and reds. You might have been expecting them to be a little bit more colourful, and that's because that algae actually that lives inside the coral is giving them the colour. So the algae is sort of like a flint, they have those sort of more red and brown colours, and that's from the algae. So when you see a reef like this, it actually means that it's really healthy. All of the corals have plenty of zooxanthellae and they're getting a lot of energy.
Corals floating around. What is it called? The big little orange particles there, a bit of coral spawn there.
I think it's still on the surface. Oh, they're back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might notice as we're going past these, the tops of these bobbings, that there are heaps and heaps of tiny little fish hanging around the top. And these fish you always find right close to the bummy because they're not going to go out into the water because they're too scared of being eaten. So what's pretty cool is that coral is an animal, but that animal actually is providing a habitat for all of the other reef animals that you see. It's fairly unusual if you think about it. Most habitats are formed by geological features or plants. But here on the reef, the corals, the animals themselves are creating the habitat. That's why they're a pretty special animal. And there's a really high diversity of life that live on the reef in and around those corals.
Turn it off. Yeah, you don't even have there are post-processing things that will help you
really good.
to
Yeah, it was a really good tour.
take photos. Yeah, you're not even on high def mode. You're not even on high def mode, so I don't know.
Like more than just like more than
I think you should get the iPhone 15 when it comes out. You should get the iPhone 15 when it comes out.
So here at Moore Reef, we're actually
That's the
using
14.
Great
At the
Barrier
moment, it's
Reef
14.
Marine Park.
Yeah.
So that marine park was established in 1975, and in 1981 the Great Barrier Reef was named a World Heritage Area. The way they manage that marine park is in zones. So all of the different zones have a colour. Right now on Moore Reef we're in a green zone. If you can see that big sort of triangle-y fish out there towards the back, that's a triggerfish. They're a pretty cool fish, but at the moment they're in their breeding season, so if you see them, just give them a wide berth because they like to defend their nests.
Where are they?
Oh, that's a garfish.
Just gotta fish with the nose.
So what it means about being in a green zone here is that means that there's actually no fishing, spearing or taking animals of any kind allowed here. And about 33% of the reefs in the Great Barrier Reef are green zones. We're just heading back over those Mars Reef stars again, have a good look at them.
I didn't catch it.
Oh, Daddy, look, this what keeps the, I want the boats down. Because it's heavy, the big rock and it's going forward.
Well, it's a boulder here, so we're coming up on the side.
And about 60% of the marine park are blue zones, which is areas where fishing is allowed.
Why is the boat on that side?
Fishing and swimming, I think.
Hey, Daddy, do you even see any clams?
No, I think they can climb either. Careful on that leg.
Yeah, the ones that look kind of fuzzy as it. Just look at that.
Which one are dancing? They're like the
I guess the white ones.
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's right.
but they do just great. Yeah, they're great.
Oh, Daddy, I see another rocky one.
The boulder.
Not take on that experience.
Yeah, to a hurricane, but they're made from tropical waters, so they're a bit more
So those ones are
harsher
some kind of trevally.
in the sense of like.
I think that's not their start. So they're in the trevally family, which goes from fish about 30 centimeters to 2 meters. They're more over fish. You can tell when they're sort of more silver like that. They're more designed for the forest. So they're predators, they want to catch stuff. They do hang around reefs, but they're not like a reef fish. Well, exactly. Reef fish are usually more colourful and a lot slower, but they can kind of get around the reef and they move better.
Hotter, so that's why they're saying we're going to have worse cyclones this year. So if you're in Australia for a treat, when cyclone season's like flow, it's like December, hey. Yeah.
Hey Dad, do you see the triangle one? Do you see the triangle one?
Yeah.
Dad, do you see the
I was
triangle
telling them
fish?
about La Nina, how we're going to be in a La Nina. Well, there's the Nemo fish.
Oh yeah, so out on the right, you back to the boat again, there's that anemone fishing at the Nemos. So you guys can see each other? Right down on the bottom there, probably a green sea turtle.
There's a turtle on the right.
So we got 6 different species of sea turtles here on the Great Barrier Reef. I can't see its face, but that one's probably a green sea turtle, which is the one you see the most commonly. They're beautiful animals.
That's awesome.
So those green sea turtles will return back to the beach they were born on to lay their eggs, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was. Did you catch the turtle on your camera?
I'm not sure if I could.
Did you?
Which is your favorite?
Still has the turtle.
Yeah, so either you give me that
Well, when you go out on the ocean, take a crap.
No, Dad, none of them.
Okay, that's fine. When Mommy goes on her experience.
Now we're probably heading back to the pontoon about now. I just want everyone to please remain seated so we get everything tied up and we'll let you know when you can head off. Hope everyone enjoyed that. It's pretty sick. We saw a shark, we saw a turtle, we saw Nemo. Thank you for your time. Thank you for choosing Great Magic today. And we'll let you know in a minute when you come on.
Otherwise, when you're on the other side, right there.